Alright, I'm going to be real. Since episode 1, Gojo has been my favourite. I never doubted that Gojo's role was that of a mentor, a tongue-in-cheek teacher who's immensely strong, flamboyantly flaunting his strength effortlessly. Alongside that, Yuji was always clearly the main character to me, that is no question. Yet, one thought has played on my mind since the beginning. Should Satoru Gojo have been the main protagonist for Jujutsu Kaisen? Obviously, the entire story of Jujutsu Kaisen, the systems, lore, and characters, down to how the entire narrative is structured, all of it revolves around Yuji Itadori. Season 1 works, but narratively, it's nothing to write home about. Season 2 was what really propelled the series into something I consider to be phenomenal. Most notably, how Gojo shined as a main character more than Yuji ever did. Follow me and my thoughts as I cover Gojo in Hidden Inventory and Yuji in Season 1, highlighting what both Yuji and Gojo do well at and not so well at. If you're a part of the 98% who aren't subscribed to the channel, and if you are enjoying the content, then make sure to hit the subscribe button and to turn on notifications. Hidden Inventory has an extremely self-contained story that is steadfast in developing the relationship between Suguru and Satoru. With it only spanning 5 episodes, I really think the amount of heavy lifting this does overall for the series is actually just insane. We have talked extensively about what Hidden Inventory covers in our previous video, so check that out if you haven't already. Nonetheless, there is still so much to cover, especially when compared to Yuji. Throughout these episodes, we follow Gojo as the protagonist, with him developing drastically, going from an arrogant, egotistic youth with a contained worldview into a compassionate, still egotistical sensei we know him to be. But it's how he gets there that makes him so compelling. Additionally, Gojo acting as a protagonist is intrinsically unique in the space of shonen protagonists, whereas Yuji is, well, that's not me saying those examples are bad, just similar. A change of pace can be quite refreshing, especially when that change of pace is the strongest in the verse. Something I love Freerun for, although it's different here. P.S. I haven't seen Dragon Ball. I know Goku probably also works as a comparison. Don't yell at me, I see you in the comments. Gojo at the start of Hidden Inventory is in his second year of Jujutsu High. His arrogance was on full display, with his sensei, Principal Yaga, getting quite displeased with him as he doesn't deploy a barrier when saving Utahime, leading him to question the necessity of a barrier, saying that it's not like it matters if normies see it or not. Just the word normies gets across to us that he doesn't respect people who aren't sorcerers at this point, and his line delivery does a lot to amplify his cocky arrogance too. Yet, you can't help but be entranced by his charisma. Even when Geto is spitting straight facts about the importance of what they do, it's a different side to Gojo we'd never seen before. It is clear that it isn't the Gojo we know, but one who needs to develop. Geto really highlights this, being the most key figure in Gojo's development. Suguru states the importance of their roles as the strongest sorcerers, and the morals and responsibilities that come with that burden, saving those who aren't strong enough to save themselves. Gojo is a complex person who's extremely sheltered, as he's unable to truly empathize with anyone else, as his life is so vastly different. Until Geto appeared. Their relationship is heartwarming. You want this connection with Geto and others around him to stay with him. However, in his pursuit to be the strongest, to live towards his responsibilities of protecting the weak and stopping the likes of Toji, he pushes those connections away, starting his detachment when he fully realized his technique. All this to say, Gojo is flawed as hell. And if you read the canon fan guidebooks, it's very evident why so many of the cast find Gojo as their main source of stress. Gojo, having pre-existing knowledge of Jujutsu, allows the audience to engage with far more of its mechanics and systems. Every new piece of information is shown to us through actions, such as Gojo's arrogance to baghead guy, or Toji's intimidating nature of knowing parts of his secret technique already. When comparing to Yuji, the level of the storytelling engages you is just off the charts, and unequivocally so much more interesting to follow. Season 1 is filled with just slideshows of huge information dumps. Because Yuji is our audience self-insert, we learn through him. In doing so, however, it makes even simple concepts like the idea of a grading system seem way more complicated than it needs to be. Like, how many people do you know that love Jujutsu Kaisen say that they have no idea what the power system is in this world? That is a problem. Additionally, Gojo having a technique allows for pinnacle moments of development, showcased perfectly with his iconic awakening. I get why Yuji doesn't, as it symbolizes his uncertainty as a sorcerer and his place in the world. Yet, it's when comparing someone who has the powers of everything that is infinity plus wielding the six eyes to someone who can just punch real good. It's just an unfair comparison of who is more enjoyable to watch. This also connects to just how the effect Gojo has on the world. Since birth, the world of Jujutsu changed. They state this very clearly multiple times. Every single character has strong feelings about Satoru, and the dynamics of that are so intriguing. We can look at Nanami, Yutahime, Meimei, and just tell his presence is felt. And even looking towards his students in season 2. Then there is the classic anime trio template. I think there is an argument to be made that Gojo, Shoko, and Geto possibly are more interesting and have more chemistry than the first years from season 1. This is all while only looking really at 5 episodes. Yet I still see more there than with Nobara, Megumi, and Yuji. Nobara takes a while to get introduced. Yuji is then killed. They are then separated, come back for a little bit at the end of season 1, then Megumi's out of commission and separated again, and then Nobara is presumed dead. And while in my previous video I said Yuji works, and I love him as a character, these criticisms from season 1 do carry over. This is why I find Satoru Gojo just such a compelling character, and if reworked, could have been an amazing MC for the entire show. Okay, that was a lot of glazing for Gojo. So I'd like to state I freaking love Yuji. His kindness, strength, and sociability make him incredibly likable. In saying that, he's quite underutilized early in the series, especially as a lead. He does drive the plot forward by his decisions initially, which is great, seeming to be an active protagonist. Eating Sukuna's finger and the consequences that came with that start his journey. Then, given the choice by Gojo to continue living in order to eat the remaining fingers to bring about the end of Sukuna along with him. Yuji agreed, with his entire world changing. After which though, in subsequent events, he stays relatively passively sadly. Yuji takes 24 episodes to acclimate to Jujutsu society, with an argument to be made that he still isn't really fully involved by the end of the first season. His character is meant to be unsure of his place. The majority of the time spent watching Yuji's journey in season 1 is us walking alongside him as he uncovers and learns more of the story's world. Yuji is our main gateway into Jujutsu Kaisen, as like him, we're clueless. Itadori is purposefully made to follow characters. This tarnishes him by making him a narrative tool that is shallow. The surrounding cast admires Itadori, but lacks any further nuance in their connections, with some not even liking him. His passive approach removes possible errors he could make, stripping him of early growth. He starts off as such a nice person already, seemingly void of flaws, resulting in him being literally and figuratively no more than two-dimensional. Our main point of sympathy for his character comes from others' actions that affects him or his friends, never from himself in the first season. He loses his friends and family and can't do anything about it, but his wavering resilience isn't given enough time to play on his development. And when they do, we get some of the best moments of the show, as when he's left alone to cook, he excels, like in episode 12, To You Someday. It's this difference that really had me thinking about this video and Gojo's time as a protagonist. The times we do get away from Yuji are moments with Sukuna, who's in control of his body, which creates some great intense moments like Yuji's death. Yet, he's brought back with relative ease, handing over his body to Sukuna at any given moment in the future. Finally, a decision that could really lead to something and play on Yuji's mind at all times. Oh, he doesn't remember it. Cool. And that's mainly the problem with Yuji in the first season. So much of his development is meant for later in the series, making what small moments of it we get in the introduction to be lackluster, making it difficult to engage with him as a protagonist as he develops at a much slower pace. Overall, I love both dearly. Yes, obviously Gojo can't work as a protagonist. The entire story is made for Itadori Yuji. However, Gojo is a more enjoyable main character to me early on. His arc is self-contained, but he's not made out to be the main character. Unless Gege rewrote the entire story to be one that surrounds us being in a position of already knowing this universe instead of an audience self-insert. Yuji is made for long-term growth that's more gradual, even if detrimental at the start. So yes, within the boundary of limiting the series down to each of their introductions, Gojo alone is the better protagonist. But what do you think? Do you think a universe where Satoru Gojo was our lead for Jujutsu Kaisen would have been interesting? What kind of what if scenarios can you guys cook up? Like always, let me know down below your guys' thoughts. Other than that, I just have to thank our patrons. In the top mate tier, we have Nick. In the great mate tier, we have Colin and CJ. And for the good mate tier, we have Jadu Sable. If seeing your name here at the end of videos or hearing your name be called out, along with other great perks interests you, please make sure to follow the link in the description down below. Anyways, thank you so much for watching today's video. Make sure to subscribe to the channel with the notification bell turned on, and I will see you guys next time.